You started the year trying to change everything: the weight, the business, the routine, getting enough sleep, actually taking care of yourself for once. And right now, you're not fully doing any of them. Not the weight, not the business, not the skincare. All of it is somewhere in the middle, and you can't figure out why. This isn't a discipline problem. If it was, you could fix one area, feel good about that. But it's not just one area, it's all of them at the same time. And when everything collapses in the same month, when you gain back the weight, the business slows down, and you stop brushing your hair and doing the things that make you feel like yourself. That's not a coincidence. That is a pattern. Every change you try to make is actually a change to who you believe you are, not just what you do, who you are. And your nervous system has a very specific opinion about that. By the end of this video, you'll understand why it keeps falling apart. And what's the one thing that holds all of it up? Why changing everything at once guarantees you'll change nada. Here's the mechanics of what's going on. Every time you try to change your behavior, your brain has to update its picture of who you are, right? The ways you see yourself. That update is not free. It costs energy. It takes repetition. And it takes time before the new behavior stops feeling like something you're forcing and starts feeling like something you just do, before it starts feeling natural in essence. Your nervous system can only run one major identity update at a time before it starts pushing you back and creating friction. So think about what you're actually asking it to do. You don't start eating differently. You have to become someone that eats differently. You don't just start working on the business. You have to become someone who runs a business. You don't just start taking care of yourself. Okay, we see the pattern here. You have to become someone who does that for herself without guilt or second guessing. Every single one of those is a different update to the same operating system. And if you're trying to run all of them at the same time, you're in for a rude awakening. A 2025 meta-analysis of over 13,000 people confirmed it. The stronger the identity around a behavior, the more automatic that behavior becomes. But the identity doesn't build overnight, right? It wasn't built overnight. It took a long time, maybe even years. It takes repeated decisions and enough time for the brain to believe it's real. So when you're trying to build 5 identities at once, and none of them get enough time to stick, enough repetition, enough anything, every change you're trying to make is an identity update. And identity updates take time, repetition, and energy to stick. When you're trying to lose weight and build a business and take better care of yourself and get to bed earlier, you're not working on 5 separate things. You're asking your nervous system to agree that you're a completely different person in 5 ways at once. It can't do that. So it picks none of them, right? And pulls you back to what it already knows, back to reality, which is who you are and how you show up already. So it's not that you have failed at 5 things. The 5 things are not actually separate, right? They're all you. They all share the same root. And until you work on that root, the branches keep falling. You make real progress, you lose some of the weight, right? The business has a good month. Your routine is running. You feel like this time it's different. Everything's going to be different this time because you're actually having some traction. And then something shifts. A hard week, a slow month, a single thing goes sideways. And within a few weeks, you're further back than when you started. In all of it at once. And even though that feels like failure, it's not. That is your nervous system doing exactly what it was built to do. It's doing its job, bringing you back to what it recognizes as you. The roller coaster is not proof of what can't change. It's proof that your identity hasn't updated yet. When new behaviors start working, they push you further from what your brain considers normal. And the brain's job is to bring you back. So when you start losing weight, looking different, running a business, treating yourself like someone who matters, that can feel unfamiliar at a deep level. And your nervous system interprets unfamiliar as unsafe. So it autocorrects. You know that moment where everything is going great and then suddenly it's not? You didn't lose motivation. The old identity kicked in because the new version of you, the one who takes care of herself, runs a business, feels good in her body. She's still new, still unfamiliar to you, still unfamiliar to your nervous system, and your nervous system corrects toward the familiar every single time. That correction hits every area at once because all of them are connected to the same source. Dun, 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 right? And that source is, hold on, your identity, specifically a version of identity that hasn't decided yet who it actually is. All of those areas, the weight, the business, the self-care, the routine, they're all asking the same question underneath. Do you actually believe that you are someone who gets to have all of this? Do you deserve it? Okay. Do you deserve it? Most people try to answer that by getting results first. Get the body and then believe it. Get the clients and then believe it. The belief is supposed to follow the proof, but the proof never stacks up fast enough because the old identity keeps interrupting it before it can. The sequence has to go the other way. The identity has to move first, even if it's just a little, even just enough to let one area build real evidence. Every change feels temporary because it is. It's sitting on top of something that hasn't settled yet. Here's what actually works. Pick one area. Doesn't have to be the hardest one, not the most visible one to other people, the one that, if it started moving, would make you feel most like yourself. Start there. Not because the other areas don't matter, because your brain can only build one solid identity at a time. And that foundation needs to go deep before you add the next thing on top of it. You can't fix the weight, the business, and the self-care simultaneously. I know that's not what you want to hear, but trying to fix all three is exactly what's been keeping you at zero in all three. Here's what life looks like when the identity is solid. You don't white knuckle the routine. You don't need to motivate yourself back into every habit you dropped last week. You just do it. And it's not because it's easy, because it's consistent with who you are. And you stop losing the ground you gained every time it comes. 59% of women reported burnout in 2024. A big part of that burnout is the exhaustion of maintaining 5 half-finished changes at once without ever addressing the one thing they all depend on. You don't need to fix every area. You need to build one stable center, and everything else starts to organize itself around it. They need time, they need repetition, and one solid foundation to build from. And you're not failing at 5 things. You're trying to rebuild who you are. That's one project, and it starts with one decision.
If this episode sparked something inside of you right now,